Hey everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm Mark, and as always, I'm here with the incredibly insightful Jenny.
Hey Mark, always a pleasure to unravel tech's latest puzzles with you. And today, it sounds like we're diving into the world of digital espionage. Almost secrets sprawling everywhere?
Secrets sprawling. You got it. It sounds like something straight out of a Mission Impossible movie. But it's a very real and very pervasive problem in the software development world. We're talking API keys, passwords, digital certificates, all sorts of sensitive credentials, just leaking out.
Okay, leaking out. Are we talking sophisticated cyber attacks, or is this more like, oops, I accidentally posted my password on a public forum?
It's both, actually. But a surprisingly large amount is, well, let's just say less Ocean's 11 and more Office space. Think copy-pasting code snippets with credentials still embedded, accidentally committing sensitive files to public GitHub repos. The kind of stuff that gives security professionals nightmares.
So, human error? The classic culprit? We're really our own worst enemies when it comes to keeping things secure, aren't we?
We are, and it's a growing problem. GitGuardian's State of Secrets Sprawl 2025 Feet report. The numbers are concerning, to say the least. They found over 23 million times new leaked secrets on GitHub in 2024 alone. That's a 25% jump from the year before.
23 million? Wow, that's a staggering number of secrets. And I'm betting these aren't just like simple password 123 feet situations, right?
Definitely not. All kinds of credentials. But here's where it gets really complex. A huge portion of these leaks are what they're calling generic secrets.
Generic secrets? What does that even mean in this context?
Think of it this way. Some secrets, like an AWS key, have a very specific format. It starts with AKA. It's a certain length. Those are easier to detect because you can write rules to look for that pattern. You know?
Right, that makes sense, like a digital fingerprint.
Exactly. But generic secrets are everything else. Custom tokens, strong passwords, encryption keys, database connection strings, anything that doesn't times follow a predictable pattern. And that makes them far times harder to find using conventional methods.
So it's like searching for a needle in a haystack, except the needle can be any shape, any size, and might even be invisible sometimes.
Perfect analogy. And that haystack is growing exponentially. These generic secrets now represent about 58% of all the leaked secrets, according to the report.
So what's the solution? It sounds like we need some seriously sophisticated tools, and maybe a bit of magic, to tackle this.
That's where it gets interesting. Companies like GitGuardian are leveraging machine learning, essentially teaching computers to recognize these secrets, even without those clear-cut patterns.
Okay, that sounds promising. How does that work?
Instead of just looking for a specific string of characters, the AI is learning to identify the times context surrounding the secret. It's recognizing the patterns of asterisk, how times secrets are typically used, even if the secrets themselves vary wildly.
That's clever. So it's not just what times the secret is, but how, and asterisk, where times it's being used in the code?
Precisely. And that's a significant advancement. But, and this is a crucial but, even with these advanced detection tools, a large number of leaked secrets are still active, even times years after they've been exposed.
Wait, times years? How is that even remotely possible?
The report indicates that roughly 70% of leaked secrets on GitHub were still valid and active 2 years after being discovered. It's pretty shocking.
That's genuinely frightening. So even if a leak is detected, there's a high probability it's still causing damage, potentially for years?
Exactly. And that highlights another critical point, the difference between public and private code repositories. You'd assume that keeping your code private would offer much better protection, right?
Yeah, that seems like basic logic. Private should mean private, shouldn't it?
You'd think so, but the report uncovered something rather counterintuitive. In some instances, secrets were actually more times likely to remain active in asterisk private times repositories compared to public ones.
Hold on, what? That defies all logic. How does that times happen?
One theory, and it's a compelling one, is that there's a false sense of security surrounding private repositories. Developers might be a bit less cautious, assuming that because fewer people are looking at the code, the risk is lower. But clearly, that's not the case.
So it's like we're hiding our secrets, but we're not actually securing them. It's like locking the front door but leaving the back window wide open.
Exactly. And it's not just code repositories. The report also examined collaboration platforms like Slack and Jira. And let's just say you might want to think twice before pasting sensitive information into those chat channels.
Oh, wow, I use Slack constantly. What kind of secrets are typically leaked there?
Things like API keys, cloud service credentials, database passwords. Anything that might get copied and pasted into a message for convenience now. And those messages can be surprisingly persistent, easily searchable, and often overlooked in security audits.
Okay, that's officially making me a little paranoid. So what's the overall solution here? Are we just doomed to perpetually leak secrets?
Not necessarily. There are concrete steps we can take: better developer education, more thorough code reviews, consistent use of secret managers, and, of course, tools like GitGuardian that can automatically scan for leaked secrets across various platforms.
Secret managers, ... Those are like password managers, but specifically designed for code and development environments, right?
Exactly. They're purpose-built to store and manage sensitive information securely. But, interestingly, the report found that organizations using secret managers still had a higher than average rate of secret leakage.
Seriously? So even the best tools aren't a guaranteed fix?
It appears so. It could be a configuration problem, or perhaps developers aren't utilizing them correctly. It just underscores the fact that security is a complex, multifaceted challenge. There's no single silver bullet.
And the stakes are, and the report makes this very clear, getting much higher. I saw that the potential financial losses for companies are reaching into the billions.
Billions, yes. And it's not only financial firms. Any industry that depends on software, which is pretty much every industry these days, is vulnerable. And with the increasing use of AI-generated code, the problem could potentially get even worse.
AI-generated code? How does that factor into this?
Well, if an AI model is trained on a dataset of code that includes leaked secrets, it might inadvertently incorporate those secrets into the new code it generates. It's like a hidden vulnerability that gets replicated and spread.
So we need to educate the AIs about security practices as well? It's like a whole new dimension of security concerns.
A counter-argument to all the technology. Is more focus needed on human error? I mean, even with GitGuardian, there is still a problem.
That's a very good point. While the tools are important, maybe they are overlooking the main cause, us. Perhaps, mandatory security training is the key.
It could be. Another listener concern might be about regulations. Are more needed to really enforce good practice?
Regulation, that is a hot topic. While training and tools are optional, having set industry standards may create universal security measures.
Precisely. It's a constantly evolving threat landscape. But I think the core takeaway is that awareness is paramount. Developers, organizations, everyone needs to understand the risks of secret sprawl and take proactive, consistent measures to mitigate it.
So, scan your code regularly, use secret managers diligently, be cautious about what you share, and maybe even teach your ASI Copilot a thing or two about security best practices. Got it. It's a lot to absorb, but incredibly important.
It is, and it's an ongoing process. Security isn't a set-it-and-forget-it endeavor. It requires constant vigilance and adaptation to the ever-changing threat landscape.
Well, thanks for shedding light on this complex issue, Mark. You've given us a lot to consider, and perhaps a few things to worry about, too. But it's better to be informed and prepared, right?
Couldn't agree more. Knowledge is power, especially in the realm of security. And that's all the time we have for this week's episode. Stay safe out there, everyone, and keep those secrets secure.
Excellent advice. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.